The vibrance and the pulsating norms on the African continent that enrich, nourish, nurture, and attract people locally and internationally. Where Africans gather, there's color, there's vibrancy, there's interaction, there's communication, the beauty of our languages, the beauty of the people, the beauty of our costumes, the beauty of our cuisines are renowned. And that's why we often say Africa, Nigeria is culture rich and tradition proud. And we count, we bring up, we call to memory, we talk with those who know who were there about our revered cultural norms and tradition. Embedded in these revered cultures are secrets that our elders, our ancestors hold, and those living hold very dear. So what is happening? What happens when secrets are no longer secrets? Francis examines this and he spoke with quite a number of people. Let's set the tone for our conversation.
Secret cult is not a recent phenomenon in the annals of African civilization. They existed in traditional African societies as socio-cultural and political organizations. They provided socio-economic support to their members who were mainly adult and elders. They were also involved in indigenous peacemaking and healing in local communities. Traditional cult groups therefore occupied a pivotal place in community development and social transformation.
Cultism in the past wasn't really seen as a group where you exercise powers and rights. You know, it was more of a group where you could get support and assist each other. Just hold my hands and I hold your hand. So it was more or less like a gathering of people trying to support each other, getting to know, to build, relationships, to have that community arrangements in the past. But now the young ones are actually looking for where to exercise powers. And most times they feel the only place I can do stuff is when I'm in a cult. It gives me that right. It gives me that opportunity to be able to do things and nobody can do anything about it.
In those days, when we were growing up, we have series of groups. Like if you go to Igbo land, you see age grades. These people form this age grade. And they have a goal, they have objective, they have a vision, they have what they plans to do for the community, for themselves, and for the less privileged. But along the line, things change.
Although a remarkable number of these traditional secret societies are gradually losing their potency and efficacy owing to Western culture and civilization, some of them still exist and are even regarded with fear. Membership, however, cuts across diverse sectors of the Nigerian economy, and different classes of people are increasingly enlisting in them.
Recently, I met a young woman who I think her son died 2 years ago. He was, I think, a member of one of the groups, and I think the other group killed him, and I think he was in 300 level. He started from GS3. Now you tell me, if his parents were fully involved in his life, however, you can't tell me that you will not at least see signs and a few things that would tell you something is wrong somewhere.
In a country where too many young people are out of school with very limited job opportunities, cultism remains attractive to new recruits as a means of building social reputation and wealth.
Those are actually clusters that politicians build, to be able to exercise their powers wherever they are. I mean, if you have guys like that are actually don't have anything to do but are looking for who is going to call them to go and defend him somewhere or do something somewhere, then you know that there is a major problem of unemployment.
The evil effect of secret cults have permeated the entire structure of the Nigerian society. However, some have advanced reasons to convince government and the public that their association is not a secret cult. Hence, we hear certain nomenclatures as fraternity, confraternity, system, game. The list is endless.
A logo can say a lot of things. It might not necessarily mean danger, even if you see the axe and then you see the skull. It is what I offer to you. Yes, this is the logo and this is what it looks like. But it might not necessarily be what is inside the logo that you should be focusing on. I'm going to give you power. Wherever you enter, you'll be the one speaking and nobody can speak. Most times, people just want to be in a place where they are recognized.
I had an experience when I was in school. A friend of mine wore black and black to school. Somebody now called him, say, why are you wearing black and black? You are not supposed to wear black and black on a particular day. So when he asked for that, they say no, it's for some court guys and things like that. So there are some symbols that, so if I say, I may not even know.
The secret societies are banned in Nigeria, and hundreds of members have been arrested and prosecuted over the years. Nevertheless, they continue to operate, especially on university campuses, where they still attract new members.
There should be serious and massive campaign in schools. Because if you have a child in primary 6 in cults already, then there's a problem. My last encounter with a parent on this, she told me that her child was being initiated by an NYSC copper in the school. So that means that there has to be serious awareness in schools, because that's where they are actually, you understand, being tamed into that other side of the world.
If from the family that culture is there and the fear of God is planted there, leave every other thing.
Cult activities are often associated with rituals that are characterized by a set of practices, belief system, or thinking usually disclosed only to their inner caucus. But what happens when secrets are no longer secrets? This will be our focus on Weekend Deal today.
The danger or the challenge, the offshoot, the fact, the negative impact of cultism is being felt all over our country today. In times past, many associated cults and cultism with tertiary institutions. But from what Francis has investigated and brought to light now, we learn that primary school students are being initiated into cults. But we also know that in times past, some secret societies and some secret aspects of our cultural norms that are revered up till today were carried on and brought forward by ancestors handed over from one generation to another. And we hold these customs there. So, where does the negative start? How is it impacted the positive aspects of our culture? It is our hope that as you continue to interact with us on our package today, we'll be able to interrogate this issue and get best results that all of us can carry on and share. It's time now for us to touch down in Sokoto. Let's see what they are putting together, talking about cultism in Nigerian schools.
The mention of the word cultism conjures fear in most law-abiding students, because of its destructive consequences in parts of the country where it has become prevalent. For Kulsum, a student in Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto, cultism is an alien concept, having never had an incident to compare it with.
I've never heard about cultism in Danfodio because Danfodio is a very peaceful school and environment where you get to learn about Western education and also about your religion.
Since when I've been in school, I've not heard anything about anything about cultism in Danfodio University.
As far as I know, in Usman Danfodio University, we don't have any kind of cultism.
Non-reported cases of cultism notwithstanding, there is a strong policy against cultism in all the 9 public tertiary institutions in Sokoto State, and extensive orientation against the act.
Our policy on cultism is expulsion of the affected student. If it is a staff, dismissal. And we are grateful to God that we have remained peaceful and our students are serious to their studies.
Cultism is a security threat. So just like any other security threat, it cannot be handled by an individual. Contribution of all is required. So the measures we have taken include liaising with the appropriate security agencies to ensure that they monitor the movement of our staff and students so that they don't involve in such things.
Students can engage in the extracurricular activities, but the demanding nature of the curriculum is indirectly being used as a measure to take students away from participating in cult activities.
Also engage them in extracurricular activities, which engage them. So in fact, they don't have time even to think of forming any secret association that will lead to cultism.
During the students' orientation program, we invite professionals to come address the students, and then all the issues regarding cultism and other social vices are explained, and then the bad things about them are also mentioned to the students.
The moment a lecturer or any staff is to be recruited, they should ensure that person is not only knowledgeable but educated and morally sound person, because education and morality goes hand in hand.
If cultism does exist in Sokoto, then it has become so secret a society that it has become non-existent.
It was great to listen to that package from NTA Sokoto. We're talking about cultism at schools. We're hearing now that this thing starts from as early as primary 6, perhaps even primary 3, primary 4, primary 5. We now learn that graduates sometimes go back to these young children to initiate them into cultism. It's time now for us to ask, what are the parents and guardians and neighbors doing? What is happening in our communities? Is no one taking notice? Are all those children not collectively ours? Are they not children of Nigeria? We also drew a line, a very thin line earlier on the program about our cultural norms and practices, our revered cultural norms, about how some are secret. So this line, this thin divide between those are cultural norms and practices that we revere and these secret cults of today, are they one and the same? How are we interpreting it in such a negative way that it's taking away from those things that make us proud Africans, proud Nigerians? We will continue to talk about that. And that's how we make welcome now the Senior Special Assistant to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on Niger Delta Affairs. You know him. He's a family friend, we can say, talking about Senator Ita Inak. Thank you for joining us this morning on Weekend Deal.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigerians, on Weekend Deal.
Fantastic. This is the conversation that, it's not strange to you because you are in Nigeria. And you know how we celebrate our culture and our tradition. And we have some things in there that sometimes they're secret. Like, for example, when we have some festivals, the women can't come out or ought not to come out. And in their best interest, they stay home. They also love the culture because it makes us who we are. Tell us about that. What happens in your own part of town?
Well, I'm from Akwa Ibom State, and we have such cultures in my place. They are not treated as culture, as cults. They are rather treated as celebration. We have Ekbe, which is for a higher class of persons. We have Ekong Kemba. We have Ekbekong. We have Akbang, Ekong Farukom. We also have for the women Abre. We have a lot of them, and they are used for the purpose of instilling discipline, one, and sometimes it is a celebration. Sometimes it is to ensure that, just show that you have come of age. And sometimes for Akbang, a lot of women get happy when they give birth to a male child because it is mostly played by the boys. And sometimes when the Akbang or a Kong goes to the house of a grandmother, women are not supposed to know. He will tell you, Nkam, Nse Ukororo, for that is, my grandmother, look at my leg, Namio. That is to be proud,
Yes.
That was the culture. That is the culture still, but it's dwindling and a different set, a different nature of it is coming on. For Cross River, Akwa Ibom, part of Abia, a little part of the Igbo land, that is the culture of the people.
And it's so, as you were talking about this traditional norms, festivals, you were smiling.
Yeah.
And that's how people from your part, and indeed all Nigerians are smiling, when we imagine the picturesque experience, when it's happening, everybody's dancing, wearing those beautiful costumes. How did we now come to where we are now? Some elders say our secrets are no longer secrets in terms of we now have cults at the tertiary level, secondary level, primary level. It is happening right now, and it's a danger to us all.
And in the culture that I'm talking about, you get initiated into it because when you're up to about 15 or 10, 12, and including the one we call Obon, you get initiated into it, that is that you have come of age. And it's part of what a father looks up to lead his child to be initiated there, that he can be, he is of age. It is not the kind of thing that is happening today in the tertiary institutions and even unfortunately, in secondary schools. And unfortunately, again, even in primary schools, because I understand, in fact, I know that even in some parts of Akwa Ibom State, unfortunately and shamefully, I must admit, you have cults, even in primary schools, and it's very worrisome. And the level of cultism in almost everywhere in Nigeria, in primary schools, secondary schools, and universities are worrisome. And I used to say, and I keep maintaining that what we're having today as terrorism, those who are terrorizing us today, may giving trouble to the Nigerian nation, were children that were left behind by the planlessness of yesteryears. Now, what do I call planlessness of yesteryears? When we were happy training our children in the best of schools, and we allowed some children to be given some traditional or doctrinal or faith education or no education, and we left them behind, and then they are now dictating the pace for us. So what we can do and what we should do is, whatever you are doing for your child today, do it knowing that if you do not do it for the child of the next person or the next neighbor, they will endanger your children today. So the best love you can show to your child is to show love to the children of others. Cultism is getting to the highest dimension, and it doesn't happen in most other communities of the countries. Countries that you see these things happen are trying to reinvent themselves because this cultism and ethnic militia practice has collapsed and wiped out those societies, and they're trying again to rise from their ruins. May that not be the portion of Nigeria.
Thank you. I ask you to hold the thought. You did say that what you do for your children, you should do it for other children in the society, perhaps in the neighborhood. But I'll ask you to tell us how that can be practicalized. But that'll be when we come back. We want to listen to this. Charles Obike put together this package on culture and on cultism and tradition in Nigeria. Is there a merging line somewhere? Let's find out.
Excellence, quality association with people are vital in the development of human civilization. The downsides and reality of our derailing society with dented image has become a huge challenge to our socio-cultural progress.
A friend of mine who said he had joined a secret cult until, of course, they told him what he couldn't bring, and he had to run away. I would say that we are just, nobody wants to be stagnant. We all want to move forward.
Our youth of this generation, they think differently. But our forefathers and our fathers are seeking to see how to pass this thing, that this thing will not die. All right? That's why sometimes they insist that some of our youth will come to the village during some of those festivals, because it will be an avenue for them to be initiated, or for them to be reorientated about those cult groups. So we see the disparity between our fathers and our youth today is very far, is very wide. The youths are saying, no, I don't want to engage in these kind of things, because in some of those traditional liturgies, there is always sacrifice, all right? Some chicken, pour some blood, some gin and all that, according to them. But the youth, nah, they don't want to have anything to do with that.
Our traditional norms and values are on the brink of collapse due to the origin, history, and practice of fraternal and cult engagements.
The idea of the traditional cult group, in my opinion, seeks to continue the liturgies, the traditional worships, and all of the traditional rites that were in existence from the days of our forefathers. All right? Most of our elders in the village, they are pushing to see that the traditional cults don't die, because I can say that time some of our moral values were founded on those traditional codes.
There are so many cultures in my place that are very, very attractive then, but now they're not really attractive because the effectiveness is not there anymore. As of then, when our forefathers, they were so much committed to the traditions, the culture, the norms and ethics there, they were so very so effective. But now, because of the social lifestyle, the thing is not really effective anymore. It's not really interesting anymore, because now maybe our father, like my father, when I was too young, then he called me and said, okay, come and inherit this tradition. This is what I'm into. This is what I'm actually into it. So you have to come and inherit and join me so that it will proceed from there. Then me, because of the lifestyle I choose not to continue to inherit from what he was actually doing. So with that, the culture is actually dying gradually, because the youth are not ready to inherit it from their forefathers, from their fathers. So the traditions are not really interesting anymore.
Women's being what they are would always want to do what we feel is best for us. I would not actually say those things, those activities are occultic or are evil, as long as human sacrifices are not needed and everyone is made to be themselves. So I know there are most of them who do some silly fetish stuff. But as long as, like I've said before, as long as they don't kill anyone or subjugate anyone, I think it's cool.
Averting the influence of traditional cult groups on various ethnic, religious, political actions, regional rivalries, and insurgency can help shape Nigeria's vision and image at local and international levels.
Thank you, Charles OBK. I think we're raising many questions here, Senator Ita. We have first that the young people they are not excited about our cultural norms and practices anymore. The joy we used to have going to the village square, going to see our grandparents, cooking with them, going to the farm, fetching water from the stream. That's not for the modern day youth. That's what I'm getting from that package. But what we also want to also delve into, what happened? Where did the deviation start? It didn't start today. There was a time where a child was a child of the community. Let's even take Abuja, for example, where they say it's no man's land because we've all come from different parts, but from different parts still in Nigeria. But you come here, you cannot tell a neighbor's child what to do or say you are going wrong or you are doing something wrong. What is your own experience?
I want, before I come to your question, let me draw a distinction. I listened to the program, I listened to the report. Let's draw a distinction between occult and occult, cult, tradition, and masquerade. Occultism is something spiritually attached. Cult is a kind of association which sometimes has ill intent. It's different from masquerade, it's different from the kind of cultural practice that you just go to initiate a person for the sake of continuing the cultural practices which are not, in the words of the law, repugnant to natural justice, equity, and good conscience, not repugnant to decent living. It's just practice and game and something to excite and bond society. Now, coming to your question, a child is a child of the community. Yes, I could say that was in the times past, but it still ought to be, because, like I said at the beginning, in the course of this program, the children that we are having terrorizing society today, whom we choose to call bandits, whom we choose to call terrorists, whom we told to call all negative names, were that because the elites took care of their children, put them in the best of schools, give them the best of attention, and thought that the children of others were the children of with the business of their parents. Now we have the Child Rights Act, which gives rights to a child. But even within the Child Rights Act, there is still a venue for the society to still have, for the society, independent of the parents, independent of the schools which these children attend, independent of every other thing, to have, for the society, for the neighbors to have influence. In our days, and even today in most of our societies, if you see a child do a wrong thing, perhaps coming to doing a wrong thing, coming back from school, or in the course of going to the stream or something, you can correct the child. If it gets too bad, you take the child to the parents. Sometimes you can spank the child. The old women they are taken to have a right to do that
and
to
no
children.
one will take offense.
No one will take.
But
now, if you try that with a new child, if you do that, then you will. Somebody, even if it is your child, sometimes he will be the first to call the police for you.
But I want to go back to that beginning part. You have differentiated, but some opine that our traditional norms and cultures have some secrets. Mm-hmm. Those things we call secret.
Yes.
Is from that sacred initiations that some practices have been copied, have been borrowed. People have spied. Some people have taken from it what they will. They don't want all the fanfare, the dance and all. And it may not be as kind to us as the ones our ancestors enjoyed and our elders and our grandparents
Yes.
enjoyed. Some people have tuned it to fit what they want at this time. Perhaps that's where when we talk about cult, there needs to be an initiation. It's beyond hello, how are you? They do something
I think,
to make
yeah.
it secret.
You won't make me, because I'm initiated into Ekbe society. Yes.
So what happened?
When I was a child, I was initiated into Ekong, was initiated into Akmang. I was initiated into Ekong Kemba. You know, what is this? And the other one we call Obon. What they do is they just do something to make sure that you feel that there is a commitment that you don't have to reveal to others, so that you make it exciting. There is nothing cultic about it. There is something we say in Ekbe. I hope my colleagues will pardon me. We say Ekbe edi abanama toam kofyok. That is, when you go to initiate, they will make it so interesting, so exciting, so much that you want to go in. But when you go in and you see what it is, that it is almost nothing, that it is the common thing that you see on the streets, that it was just intended to create that kind of anxiety, want, and desire for you to. When you consider what you give, the goat, the yam, the food you cook, the celebration you call, then you now ask yourself, when you get to initiate, look, is this what I paid, what I spent all this on? But you see the excitement.
But you have that togetherness.
Yes, that is when you now regret that.
But is there a blood oath?
No.
Do you drink any blood?
No. But it's just intended to make so that you make the younger ones want to grow up to get excited.
To be a part of
to
that.
be a part of it. And it is what bonds society. It is what bonded society.
But would you say that is
together.
what is from now? Now, the way you want to bond in Akwa Ibom may be different from the way the person in a university wants to bond.
That's the
that's
difference.
where they will take the little or whatever they want from there and incorporate and make their own
That
thing.
is different from the cults you have in universities and secondary
I
schools.
know.
That is quite different.
I know.
And the kind of thing I'm talking about, the kind of cultural practices I'm talking about exist in Igbo land, it exists in the Tiv land, it exists in the Yoruba land, and a great part of it also exists in great parts of the north, depending on the migrations.
All over Nigeria.
Yes. Now, what exists in society, in the universities and in the secondary schools, and perhaps in primary schools, is not that. It is real cults, which sometimes goes with blood, and which sometimes goes with, we want to be identified as this. We want to be made tough. You want to know that there is a bond. If you hit my man, we hit you. And they say blood for blood, all that kind of thing. And I believe that when we were in secondary schools, in the teacher training colleges, we had different societies, clubs. We had the Dramatic Society, we had the Young Farmers Club, we had the Student Christian Movement, we had the Young Scientists Club, we had
debating
the debating society and all that. And it was fun to want to belong to the debating society or to the dramatic club and to be able to quote Chinua Achebe, Professor Soyinka. It was, you looked forward to that.
Pride in it.
The teachers, the leaders, the seniors will want to coach you to quote, to come and act, the Ciceros, they will so you will be excited in that.
And all of that.
Then you will be Shakespeare and all of that. Then so that's the kind of thing we had, which in the secondary school, even in universities, we had the Parliament Club, we had the Parliament Club, those were the things that excited people just to bond and form clubs. But there was the advent then of the other
side, not so pretty side. But I'll ask you to hold that thought. We're coming to that because I spoke to a prof about 2 weeks ago, and he said, as long as this imagination, there are vistas to it. So you do your thing. somebody may come and take a little from it and do their thing. And sometimes what they imagine may not be as pleasant as your own was. So I like your line of thought. We're coming back to continue to do that, to interrogate that, like my friend Sule would say. But for now, let's go to Channel 10 in Lagos, where they are talking about the effects, oftentimes negative impact, that cultism has on schools and institutions.
The menace of cultism among school children from primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions have become a nightmare in the society. The phenomenon of cult groups in tertiary institutions has led to wondering just what could be the cause.
People that have social dislocation, they are not well brought up from home. They don't hold very good values. And some hold very good values. When they get to school and mix with other people, they copy. They imitate those that they think, these are the big boys, these are the big guys, and they are doing this. They mix with them and they are introduced, are inducted into the cultism.
If the homes play their role well, and they give over to us well-behaved children, we will make out of them well-behaved graduates. We will make out of them beautiful citizens of the country, so that when they step out of academic institutions, they will be good ambassadors, not only of the school, but also of the homes where they came from.
Some of the effects of cultism in the tertiary institution include loss of lives and properties, interruption of academic events on campuses, likewise, an insecure university environment.
I've seen traces of their action. One cultist group fighting against or struggling with another cultist group, running around inside the group with machetes, with cutlasses or gunshot. Suddenly, just hear gunshot, suddenly everybody scatters.
Like they tried to harass us in class. There was a time where my friends went to study in a classroom, so they harassed us that what are we doing here in classroom, that we should leave the class.
It was when we first resumed, and it was minor, it was nothing serious.
The Lagos state government, in her effort to control this societal ill, the question is, can cultism really be brought to an end?
The State House of Assembly have done a very good job enacting a law. If anybody is caught as a cultist, will go in for 21 years imprisonment or so. So I think it's a welcome development. With that trend, cultism can be reduced because they have sponsors. Some of the people who were members when they were in school sponsor them. Most of them are being sponsored. The weapons you see them used are given to them by their sponsors. Certainly, the only way you can curb cultism is this step the Lagos State House of Assembly has taken.
It may serve as a deterrent to some extent, but cannot eradicate it.
Recently, the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, signed into law a bill for the prohibition of unlawful societies, which specifies a 21-year jail term for convicted cultists in the state.
Our advice is for the youth to be positively engaged, to stay off these vices, and ensure that we build a great country.
With this step taken by the Lagos State government, we do believe that the threat of cultism and its practice in our educational institutions and the society at large will be greatly curbed or managed.
From NTA Channel 10 Lagos, we got that. It throws more light on the impact and the effect that cultism has in institutions. It is interesting to also note that the Lagos State Governor has enacted a law, or there's a law now that's been passed, that 21 years for any cultist, if you're found to be a cultist, you stand the risk of spending 21 years in jail. One would wonder, is that a deterrent to young people? We don't see a reduction yet. But I like your train of thought or conversation before we took that feature. You were saying, while you were still in a tertiary institution, doing your literary debate society, your social clubs, having fun with your friends, having things in common. This, what we speak of, had already begun to grow at that time.
Yeah, indeed, but it wasn't of a violent nature. In fact, it was such that they normally, they call it selling, as it were. They will, the different clubs, the different groups, will just have different days. Sometimes they meet and say, look, this is where we'll be going this day, we will be going this. And sometimes over social reason, they normally fight over, and when one is hit, the other group will want to come and hit. That is when the violence started.
Were people dying then?
No, it didn't. We didn't see. But now you see a situation where somebody will go kill somebody, they said, because he shed blood for blood or something, because one person in one group has been hurt, so the other group must also stand up.
We hear of people are beheaded, people are killed in their homes.
That's bizarre. We hear all that, and I think that is why some states have enacted laws. And it doesn't matter whether you are in a university or whether you are in a secondary school. If you are in that state, you are bound by that law. And the fact that you are in university doesn't exempt you from that law. And of course, if it arises in grievous bodily harm, if it leads to murder, the fact that it arises out of cult activity doesn't exonerate you.
But do you think these laws are enough deterrent?
Well, the laws are a deterrent, but they may not alone be enough or good deterrent. What we need to do is more of conscious prep of the society, conscious being
internal policing,
parents being at one with their children, parents being close, parents monitoring, and the society also monitoring, creating a lot of activities that will also make them have bonding in different ways, creating a lot of activities, businesses, money-making ventures, exciting things that can divert their attention.
In fact, raising your children in this time. Now we cannot raise our children the way we were raised.
Yeah.
We raise them with these times.
Yeah.
But let's talk about what many people are thinking. Perhaps they have not said it. They said politics has played a major role in the insurgence of thuggery, which is linked to cultism, in terms that two things. Politicians use thugs who are mostly cultists when they are running for elections. And I also hear now that in some political arenas, you need to be in a particular private group to contest for a position.
Well, I am not an expert in that. And I have contested elections and think I'm one of those who've contested the highest number of elections in this country. And I thank God for that. Yes, this is correct, but it's not entirely correct. But those who vote may be cultists. Those who contest, some of them may belong to one group or the other. Those who contest on this party, and this party. Sometimes what you see arise as cultism may be a member or not a member of a particular group, cult group, for instance, is either contesting or supporting somebody. And they have this fraternity that injury to one is injury to all. So when one of them is either supporting the person and is like their leader or something, I don't want to call the names of their leaders and so on, or the designations. And naturally, they will have to say, where does our leader go? And then they support that group. In the course of it, you will have it appearing as if a cult group is supporting another cult, is opposing another cult group, because it is either a political party, one person is a member or supporter of the political party or is contesting election, another one is contesting. Not that these cult groups come together to say, we want to go for
It's not a prerequisite that you must be in a particular cult to contest for an election.
It's definitely not.
What about using thugs who are mostly cultists during
I
election?
don't understand
during
what
elections.
it all calls. I mean, thugs. Because when you go for elections, you will go to the where they are distributing election materials.
Okay.
Now, the electoral officer or the state commissioner or the electoral officer in the local government will say either come with your buses or come with your supporters to escort the material so that you make sure that no political party diverts the electoral materials to another area. So in the course of it, the PDP, APC, ABGA, and all of them will go there. In the course of it, each of the political parties have their own supporters. You understand? And you have young men. They will naturally be excited that each of them wants that electoral material and the vehicle carrying it to get to a particular location, what we now call the ward centers or the where it is to distribute it. So it's not necessarily cultism. In the course of it, you may have gunshots if somebody is suspecting that the other person is trying to divert the material,
to take the ballot boxes.
To try to endanger.
But what confuses Nigerians is, like now you were talking about your cultural norms at the beginning of our discourse, masquerades, grandmothers, we're all excited over here, and our viewers as well. Where does excitement come into? Where do the arms come from? Somebody is taking a lottery box and then guns come out. How? Can't you hold that box? Let's fight physical. Because we are told that it's some big men or women who provide the arms for these people. And when the elections are over, the arms are not, they can't even be taken back. Who will give back? And these things enter society and they become a danger to the very citizens who have come out to elect some people. Is there any truth to that, to this?
I wouldn't say yes. I wouldn't say no. Because to a great extent, I have not practiced that level.
Okay.
And I want to say that much of what I know about it ought not to be said on television or on air, because we're still working so much to try to get that out of the psyche of our people. I admit that it is part of the dangerous weapons that are brought out in the course of trying to take power or win power that penetrate society. And some of them come with drugs, some of them come with other hard substances, and at the end of it, you've not been able to retrieve the arms, you've not been able to get that person out of the drugs or dangerous substances. Now he becomes a danger to society, he becomes a wreck to himself, and his family suffers. The society pays for it. If you know how much we're spending on the Nigerian National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, not how much we're spending, but how much it takes a country, to try to get people out of drugs, to rehabilitate, to prevent, to arrest, to trace, to prevent the influx of drugs and so on, is a lot. So politicians, my colleagues, Nigerians, let us know that in society, you get what you put in.
Okay. It's our hope that we continue to put in good so we can reap good, because one small deviation from the norm or from something good has ricochet effect and negatively affects us for a longer time than the time it took to start that one negative act. Do you see my expression? I'm listening. I'm soaking it all in.
Yes, the economist.
But at this point, what many young people talk about, that they read of these things. They hear big men come and talk on television, lots of nice, interesting grammar. But the gap between the talk, where the funds are located, domiciled, and these people is too big.
It's not. Because if you go
what is the fastest way
plan, under the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, you have all these plans domiciled. Most of them are domiciled in the central bank, but executed through the through NISAL. Most of them are domesticated in the Ministry of Trade and Investment, particularly under the Office of the Minister of State, Ambassador Katagum. Most of them, part of it, are also worked on with my office, the agri programs
Are
and
they
so on.
accessible?
They are accessible
in the shortest
they are
possible time?
online. And of course, there is also the program that is domiciled in the Ministry of Labor under the Honorable Minister of State, the learned senior advocate of Nigeria, Festus Kayamo, the 774 jobs. So there are a lot of windows. All you do is don't be a cynic. When you hear it, apply for it. The sites are given online. You go onto it. Don't say it will not work. Others have worked. In fact, under the program which my office worked on with NISAL, under the emergency agri program, some people were so excited when they just filled the form. We processed it through my office. They submitted their names. They got online to the site, and we worked, and they were given loan.
After how long?
In fact, last Sunday, a group of people, about 38 of them from Biaberikbe, one community which farms rice, came to me to thank Mr. President, to thank the Vice President, in Akwa Ibom State, because 38 of them from one community, which is a rice farming community, have received loan of different amounts of money. They came with the neighboring communities, which have not received yet to say we are. So these things are possible.
So those
and
that God came to say thank you.
Most of them are not even educated.
Okay.
But they took the step of faith. You are a part of society. Do your part, and the rest will do society. Finally, for cultism, society, what you put in is what you get out. And for the children, or for the young ones, or for those who practice, because those who started it are now elders. In fact, some of them over 80, 70. Please think and retrace your steps. See the way society is, and see those who were cultists. See how they end, or how they are, and those who chose a different path. Compare and see if it is good. For those at the government at the federal level, those who are in government, you are not there for yourself. It is not what you make or get out of government. It is what you live and you make in work. That brings out the value for society. It's not how much you acquire and own. For those at the state government, state governments believe. I apologize to them. I apologize to them, and I take personal responsibility.
Yeah.
For the state governments, governors, you don't have a government. You don't say my government. It is our government.
Okay.
Government is made of the state level, the executive, legislature, and the judiciary. You should not punish the judiciary and punish the legislature.
Okay.
You release their money for them.
Okay, so they can work for the
people.
people.
Are on strike now.
Okay.
So release the money of the executive, of the legislature and judiciary. Let them start work.
Okay.
And local governments come back and bake and engage people, because society collapses because it collapses from the local government level, because the local government takes the allocation that comes to them as if it were donations.
Okay. Nigeria is ours. We must work together the right way. Working together the right way to build it, not just for now, for our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren that can live. We've been talking with Senator Ita Enang. He's the Senior Special Assistant to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, on Niger Delta affairs. Wow. We thank you for making the time. It shows that you truly are a patriot. We go on a break now. When we come back, more on Weekend Deal. Don't go away.
Every society has its own value system. Nigeria has such value system as respect for elders and constituted authority, integrity, dignity in labor, punctuality in business, commitment, trust, honesty, hard work, and many more.
People no more have respect for elders. These days, children no more greet people when you see them on the streets. Ab initio, you find when you were young, you immediately see an elderly person, you just greet. And the trending thing again in the society these days is rape. We've lost sense of the sacred. These days, you see, I don't see why a young man, a grown-up man, or even an elderly man of 60s will go to rape a child of 13 years. It's absurd. So you've lost it all.
Children no longer respect even their parents. And they get to school and teachers tell them what to do, and they behave as if they have not heard you. There's a lot of decadence, a lot of decay of that value of respect, a lot of decay of the value of hospitality, a lot of decay of the value of the fear of God, a lot of decay of the value of sincerity.
In Akwa Ibom State, we are known for our hospitality, respect, fear of God, and value of life. The story is different today. There are lots of decay in these values in the family, church, school, and in all works of life. What could we say are the likely causes of the decay of our traditional, religious, and moral value system?
I think it all boils down from the fact that we are not giving our children the necessary upbringing. It starts from the scratch. There are certain things the teacher in the school cannot do. There are certain things the peer group can influence. But I think the greatest influence should be from the home.
Globalization. We follow the Western world. People in the West are going naked, so we too should go naked. People possess illegal arms these days. And you see kidnapping and the rest of those things. Depression going around in the society. Why? Because we are following the way the West are doing things. Africa had a culture and we are still having it. So the earlier we return back to the way we used to be, the better for us.
Moral decadence everywhere. Lawlessness, greed, get-rich-quick syndrome eroding the society and life. How then can we restructure these values in a challenging society?
There's no better time to shape people than when they are young. And too much irresponsible freedom is being given to young people today. They should be given responsible freedom, and they should also take responsible freedom. When in the family, a father or mother is not able to tell the child, hey, stop there, enough is enough. When the father or mother is not able to tell the child, this is bad, don't do it again, it's not accepted in this family, it will be difficult for that child to take it from a teacher in school. Parents, pastors, and teachers, we need to do better. We need to bring back the values, especially value of respect, value of the fear of God, the value for life. You see what is happening in some places now? People just wake up and begin to kill. When you kill somebody, you're not well. And you, the young people, to have a better tomorrow, bring back these values. Respect your superiors. Respect is reciprocal. When you do it today, somebody does it for you tomorrow.
Restructuring our traditional, religious, and moral values is a task that must be done. All hands must be on deck, as it is a collective responsibility of parents, guidance, religious leaders, and all traditional institutions, as no stone must be unturned in handing over the right values to the generation yet unborn.
Many thanks, and NTA for that. Indeed, all hands must be on deck, working towards the same thing, which is development, progress, and prosperity for Nigeria. We thank you very much for participating in our program today. We got so many of your messages, still getting some for the senator, some commending us for the work we're doing, and some criticizing, making their own comments from their own angle, from their own perspectives. We thank you. Do it again tomorrow. We'll do our best to take some messages we were unable to take today. We want to say thank you to all our sister stations who contributed to make the package provide more enlightenment, share more information. I'm from here for the producer, all our features reporters, the entire crew, the director. We say thank you very much. The crew in the studio is all hands together, working progressively to ensure that we bring topical issues to the fore so we can all benefit. God bless Nigeria. I'm Thelma Baza. Bye-bye. See you again tomorrow.